Sort of moving on to the institutional side and what you're doing, one thing that we're really, we were just speaking before we came onto the podcast, and I thought it was very interesting. And it's something that I've spoken about to, I think, a couple of other people who speak on sort of more the floor level or the institutional level about having different teams. On a corporate floor, there will be a risk team, there will be the managing, the strategist, etc. So there'll be these different categories of people that work on that specific thing before it gets to the trader. And as you said, they will collaborate, right? And what was interesting is that that's what you've implemented for yourself. So you don't work on a corporate floor, right? You have your own private capital, but then you've implemented that same structure for yourself. Why is that?
So I understood because I've seen the trading floors on a corporate level, and like you said, everything is in departments. They have different departments for every key responsibility. Risk management team, strategist, execution team, research team, strategist, all different basically departments. And in those departments, they have experts, right, just focusing on that specific task. It works because you only have to focus on one thing and you have multiple people doing the same thing, so you can collaborate. Now, when I saw that, I was like, okay, once I made money, why not implement the same infrastructure but on a lower scale level, right? I don't have billions of dollars to hire a huge team, but I can do it on a smaller scale. So that's when I went and I hired my own team to handle specific tasks in my fund. So I have a risk management team, I have a strategist, I have an execution team, research team. So their job is to completely focus on the key responsibility. Because at the end of the day, initially, every trader is doing it themselves. I have to worry about my risk management. I have to worry about my strategy. I have to stay on top of the news. So you're doing everything and you have to put energy in everything. So it's not like you're giving 100% in that specific task. So for me, I thought, okay, I can go ahead and hire a team and do the same thing on a smaller level. And that was the idea I got from there. And I tried to implement it here in my own fund.
And how does that look for you? Like, how does it work? So, like, what does a average, say, trade idea look like, or trade to execution, if that makes sense? Take us through that process for you.
So what would happen is, right, so I have a strategy team which looks at potential case studies, potential trade scenarios. Once we find a trade scenario, so it would go to the research team. Now, the research team's job is to look at the currency or the asset class or whatever the instrument is, to look what potential news could affect that specific case study. If there is a news, what was the last 4 news that happened? What was the outcome of those, right? What is the average move to that, right? So then once we determine a case study, it goes to the research team. He can basically add notes. Okay, we need to be careful because, I don't know, CPI is coming out or something else is coming out. Once we have those highlighted, then it basically goes to the risk management team. Now, my risk management team will look at the risk projection. How much risk are we going to deploy in that case study? Or when are we going to maybe add risk? When should we maybe reduce risk if it goes wrong? Or maybe if there is a hedging position that we can take against that, right? So there's different risk factors that we need to look at, and in order to make sure that we're prepared for every different scenario. Once that's done, then it goes to the execution team. And they will basically execute the idea, right? But of course, I overlook the whole process. I need to make sure that it's like building a case study. For me, in very simple words, is like, we have a trade idea. Let's build a case study on that trade idea to see if it's a strong opportunity for us to take. If the answer is yes, then eventually goes through the system, and then we deploy the risk in order to take that trade idea.